Welcome to Hot Topics by Contemporary Black Voices. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Before we get started on the topic, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Beyonce. I listened to the album and I loved it. Country Carter was really good. Did you listen to the album?
Mm-mm.
What about you?
Yep.
Did you like it?
All right.
Oh, come on. Chris,
I wouldn't buy it.
Anyway, I loved it. But we've got some interesting topics today that we are going to discuss. So I'm going to start out with one. We got some bad middle schoolers up in Massachusetts who had an online mock slave auction.
What?
They were selling off the black students. Now, they got charged, okay? But the fact that these 8th graders pulled this off is telling me, first of all, they were not black students.
Okay.
Okay? Well, I'm assuming they weren't black students because they were selling black students.
Right.
There could have been one, because there's always somebody, there's always one of us in the group. But this is really telling me there is a decline. I'm a former classroom teacher. I'm a professor. But this is really telling me that there is a continual decline in the education system to where we are losing out on teaching decency and honor and all that good stuff, civic behavior to our students. And, on top of that, this anti-DEI movement is going around to where we need to start seeing more diversity on these campuses so that students can see that it's not an all-white situation. But the fact that these middle schoolers had the gall to do it, and they were making money. They were literally making
money. How?
Wow.
Because kids were putting in bids.
Wow.
The kids were putting in bids.
Wow. So I'm curious as to how aware. So were they just putting up images of black kids at the school and people were bidding on them, or
did they bring them in a noose?
Did they bring? Yeah. How did this go? You know what I mean? And so, but and
the parents of the black kids found out.
Okay.
That's how we're seeing it today on the screen. But it takes a lot of gall.
At the end of the day, it is the parents of those white kids who were doing this. They got that from somewhere. They got it from somewhere, and in order to for them to come together and even think this was okay, that's home training. Lack of it.
We're here in San Antonio, and there was a certain church school in town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a slave auction.
Mm.
A big mega church off of Stone Oak Drive.
Hagee's church.
Yeah, and they had a slave.
I mentioned it. I said it.
You did? Okay.
No.
I was trying to be.
No, I say it.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a slave auction, and the fact that they did it, and it was allowed, and it was only stopped because someone complained.
Mm.
If no one complained about it, how far would that have gone?
Right.
If no one complained about it with this online auction, how long would this have gone?
Right.
It's not funny.
It's the kids. They learned this at home. This kind of ignorance and stupidity and racism, it's learned in the home.
When and where did this happen? I mean,
In Massachusetts.
Did they do it after school? Did they do it during school? I mean, how were they pulling this off?
I'm going to assume that it might have been after school.
Okay. And was it on the school grounds, or did they go someplace else, or how they?
Well, it was done online.
Online.
It was done online.
Okay.
It was done online.
I tell you what, this reminds me. My daughter, she was in kindergarten, right? And we lived in Stone Oak, and so my daughter's in kindergarten. Pre-K. She's 4 years old, and she comes home, and she says, "Dad, did you know Barack Obama was the worst president in history?" So I'm thinking like, what are y'all talking about in school? You know what I mean? And so she's, yeah, all my friends say Barack Obama is the worst president in history. So I'm thinking, why are parents talking about this in front of 4-year-old kids so that they can go back to school and repeat this mess? You know what I mean? It's again, it's ignorance and it's learned at home. You know what I mean? It's at home, and the kids, they take what they learn at home and they repeat it. And so for them to even have this idea of a slave auction or how to conduct one online, you know what I mean? That comes from the home.
Isn't that how Donald Trump operates? He keeps repeating some. It doesn't have to be true. He just keeps repeating it over and over again, and then folks believe that it's true.
But like I say, it's incredible. It's just, and it's sad to say, but it's still gonna take. It could die out. This kind of thinking and mentality could eventually die out, but we keep perpetuating it. It teaches one generation that teaches the next and instills this ignorance and this foolishness.
Well, I am glad that these kids were charged. Now, of course, we don't have their names,
Right.
which makes me think they were white.
Oh,
Because if they were black or non-black, other than white, they might have been named. So the fact that these kids weren't named, they're saying because they were a minor. Okay. The fact that they weren't named.
Well, let me ask, for the sake of the argument here, should their parents be charged?
I believe the parents need to be charged.
Caleb?
I mean,
Because they had to learn something. They had to learn that
I
technology.
mean, you just made
right, I know where it comes from, right?
Yeah, but
so I'll give you an example. So with that kid this kid took a gun to school and committed it. In that situation, the parents should be charged. They did not lock their weapons away and keep it from being accessible to the kid. In a situation like this where you have kids where you might have put that ignorance and foolishness into the kid, and for the kids to go and do that, something like that, I don't know as far as, like, if my kid does something stupid, I'm not taking a rap. You did the stupid stuff, you know what I'm saying? You go do it. But if it's a situation where,
But if they learned it from you,
if he gets a hold of a weapon that I should have had locked up, that is my fault. That is my fault. But if he goes out there and does some dumb stuff and expresses some dumb ideas,
so let me take this lynching thing.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon is, they used a slave auction. Okay, they used their mind and so forth as a weapon to be able to weaponize against those black kids.
Right.
And they did not necessarily do this. I'm assuming, because she said the internet, I'm assuming they didn't do this live. They just put a picture of Caleb up and said,
right.
we auctioning him off.
Yeah, we selling him. Right?
Yeah.
But no,
how much would you give us?
and the other thing is intent. So say like John Doe bought Caleb. What was he going to do with Caleb?
Right.
I bought you.
Right. Go to school and get whooped the next day.
And when you think about it, I mean, when you really think about this, it's really creative. The kid who really put this all together and was able to do this, that's really creative.
Yeah, it's sad that he's using his creativity for something that's ignorant.
But the question still remains: what would, if these kids were successful? What was the intent?
Well, they were successful. They just got caught.
They got caught.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. If I was in middle school and somebody bought me and they come into school the next day, you need to carry my tray, they're going to get hit upside the head with that tray. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the only thing that was a setup for somebody to get whooped in middle school for the next day. I think that's kind of, I think that would have probably been the end of it. I mean, it's just, it's tragic because it shows that it's a perpetuation of ignorance and racism. And so, the parents, their consequences, the parents should be socially ostracized. You know what I mean? We need to, so you're raising your kids to be some little imbeciles. You know what I mean? So that we know who you are now. You know what I mean? And so as far as that goes, it's up to the society. It's up to society to hold the parents accountable to say, okay, this is what you're teaching in your home. So maybe you're not the right person that I want to have as my employee. Because if these are your values and these are the values that you're instilling into the next generation, you may not be the person that I want speaking to my customers, and I have a broad customer base. So yeah, it's up to society and of course maybe the businesses and stuff, that local community, to hold the parents
I
accountable.
think that's a great example.
I know one charter school here in town, Legacy, I think it is, Legacy. And a friend of mine whose kids go to that school said that they are only allowed so many times for the child to come to school late. And on the third round, the principal meets the parent in the parking lot
Yeah,
saying your child can't come here.
there you go. There has to be consequences. You know what I mean? And the parents need to be held accountable. The kid's not driving, so the parents do need to be held accountable for that. You know?
Well, the next, again,
Yeah.
middle schoolers mock slave auctions is, come on, this is getting ridiculous now.
Yep.
Next topic, the Baltimore Bridge. First of all, our hearts and prayers go out to the families of
Yes.
the victims.
Mhm.
But there is a strange development on this particular story. The mayor, who's a young black man, has been accused of being a DEI hire.
Mhm.
Now, this young man was elected, okay? But
Right.
now we're hearing that this term DEI has been remarketed, if you will, to mean didn't earn it. Didn't
Oh my
earn it.
God.
Yep.
The initials DEI now stands for did not earn it,
Didn't earn it.
Didn't earn it.
didn't earn it.
hmm
Yeah.
So what is it with, did he, what did it say, that he didn't earn his mayorship? How can you, first of all, let's look at this whole ridiculousness of this story. He's being accused of being a DEI hire, but he was not on the ship that lost power that hit the sides of that bridge,
Right.
okay? In fact, it wasn't even, from what I'm understanding, it wasn't even a U.S. ship,
No.
Right.
okay? So how is he a DEI hire
Right.
when he wasn't even responsible for what happened to that bridge?
Right. Right wing ignorance again. Using everything they can, everything that they can. I mean, they're throwing the kitchen sink at DEI. I mean, look at that. And look at the cargo. It's a massive cargo ship, millions of tons of cargo. If something like that, I don't care what you hit. If you get hit by millions and millions of tons of cargo, a fully laden cargo ship, you coming down. You know what I mean? I don't care how solid you are, how well your foundations are, or where your pilings, or how deep they go. If you get hit by millions of tons, you coming down. And so, but yeah, it's just these anti-DEI folks are throwing everything they can, everything. You know what I mean? Oh my God, it rained today. It's the weatherman is DEI higher because it rained today. You know what I mean? So it just whatever they can find to throw it at DEI. Again, if you're against diversity, that means you're against having black faces in certain spaces. So we just need to call them segregationists. Call them what they are. You know what I mean? They might as well get the bullhorn and put on their little bull Connor mask and just call them what they are. They're segregationists.
Right, Mayor Brandon Scott. The man ran for that position. Folks
Yeah.
voted for him.
Yeah.
What are you saying? The voters didn't earn it? What's going on here? And you're right.
I tell you what's going on is our country is changing right before our eyes. And we don't want to believe it.
Right.
And when I say we, I'm basically talking about black folks or folks who really are patriots and believe in America. America is not being America the way America used to be.
That's true.
And we are seeing it morph right in front of our eyes, and everybody thinks that if they elect somebody different or whatever, that everything is miraculously, magically going to change.
Right.
That is not going to happen.
And I would like to play on the words didn't earn it. I can think of a lot of non-black folks
Mm-hmm.
who got hired, got promoted, and did not earn it. Didn't earn it.
Yeah.
They got promoted because they knew somebody.
So we
Let's
can't
turn that DEI around to some white folk
Exactly.
and say they're a DEI hire.
Well, America is DEI because America didn't earn its place in the world. That came from hundreds of years of free black labor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have hundreds of years of free black labor, and then of course you have even
Take
after
it back to
slavery,
the prison system.
the prison system. Yeah.
Did they?
Didn't earn it. Didn't earn
Earn
it.
it. So yeah, no, and then you keep black folks from having property. You keep black folks from having education. So you have an advantage that you did not earn. You know, and all the advantage, this legacy of wealth that was passed down from generation to generation to generation, you didn't earn that. You see what I'm saying? So
It was
yeah, it was
or manipulated.
it came from black labor. You know what I mean? So yeah, we can go all the way back to talk about what was earned and what was not earned and who earned what.
You know,
You know
think
what I
about
mean?
the black GIs who came back,
Yeah.
who couldn't even get a house.
Yeah.
And it was part of their, they were not allowed to buy a home under the GI Bill.
Right. And they still paid taxes.
They still pay taxes.
And those taxes went into funding the GI program for white folks who didn't earn it. Because there's a lot of them that didn't go overseas to fight. You know
So
what I
them
mean?
soldiers were TEI. They did earn it, but when they got home, they got a DEI.
Or even all the white folks who got deferments in Vietnam, where
I can think of a particular presidential candidate.
whereas black folks went and fought. You know what I mean? And so we black folks earned that. You know what I mean? But the white folks still took advantage of all the Vietnam veterans benefits. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of stuff that white folks did not earn in this country. You know what I mean? Like I said, this country didn't earn its place in the world. It got its place in the world from centuries of free black labor. So there we go.
That's it. Okay, the next topic we want to talk about. Tennessee State University. This week, the governor of Tennessee went ahead and took down the entire Tennessee State University board and replaced them with new members. Now, interesting enough, all the members are black, and all the members are also TSU alums. But the whole problem here is this: if I'm reading the article, was that there was concerns that the university wasn't spending the money properly. Well, a lot of TSUs, HBCUs have already raised the flag saying, hey, we're not getting the funding that we were told that we would get. And out of about $500 million, they only got $250 million. And and they had an auditor out there, and it was determined that there was no misuse of funds.
Right.
So what is it that the governor is trying to do now with Tennessee State University? Now, we already know, even a couple of weeks before that happened, Mississippi tried to shut down all three of its HBCUs. So is Tennessee trying to do a slow walk to shutting down TSU? What do you think?
So, I in reading a little bit about that Tennessee State, it came out that, and even I think one of the representatives gave a speech about it, that they're aware that they owe Tennessee State $2 billion.
Whoa.
Okay? Yeah, that they've underfunded them for decades to the tune of $2 billion. And so, yeah, Tennessee State, and it did come back, there was no financial malfeasance or anything like that, but the governor still chose to replace the entire board and replaced it with probably a lot more right-wing African-American faces, Chamber of Commerce types, business owners, corporate board members. And so they kind of shifted that board completely to the right, okay? So, yeah, the question is, we kind of understand what the agenda was. We understand why they did it. You know what I mean? Why replace one set of black faces with another set of black faces? Well, because this set of black faces are conservative Negroes. You know what I mean? And so we kind of understand the agenda.
Are they the magical Negroes?
They're the magical Negroes. We understand that.
I look at this a little bit different. We are getting ourselves put into a situation to be taken advantage of, and we continue to say, we're not going to vote. We're not going to vote in this election because we don't like anybody who's in the election. And these guys are taking away our education. We got these kids who are doing mock
auctions.
slave auctions. We got all of this stuff, and the prison. I mean, we just got so much stuff going against us, and we're asleep at the wheel. That's all I got to say. It really comes upon us. We have said not one thing about any of this except what we say on this show.
And again, and I'm glad to see that this conference is coming on April the 1st to the 11th, April the 1st at 11 a.m. Is it online? Hopefully this is an online.
Is that Reverend Barber?
Yep. But this is a constant attack. We're getting attacked on all forces. And if you don't think this is going to stop, this is the tip of the iceberg, or we're already underwater at this point.
No, yeah, we are. It's bad, and so again, we week after week we call attention to different issues that affect our community, and I see some of the comments on here. So I think we were called bourgeois on one of the comments. I think it was last week, and so the thing is everyone on this panel and everyone on this studio is going to be okay no matter who is elected president. And so we're not sitting up here ringing the alarm for our sake. You know what I mean? We have a love and a dedication for our viewers, for our audience, for our people. And so yeah, each and every one of us on this panel, well, let me speak for me as far as being that title being called bourgeois is a title I never thought would apply to me. And so, no, every one of us up here worked hard. You know what I mean? We all work our asses off. We all did what we were supposed to do, as whether it's through education, whether it's through business, whatever it is. And so, no, we didn't get here through a silver spoon. We got here through hard work. And so, the idea that for us the information that we provide for us to be called bourgeois, for coming up here week after week and ringing the alarm and in the manner that we ring the alarm. To me, is beyond me. But no, just
Did you see who made the comment of bourgeois? I bet you that was Carl Booker. Okay, he likes that new word bourgeois. Yeah, bougie. Okay, I think that was Carl Booker that made that.
I've seen it a few times.
The point we're trying to make is that Black folks, we are under attack. We are under attack. And even us bourgeois folks here, we are under attack, and we can get pulled off of jobs, kicked out of universities for just saying what's on our mind. And, we're speaking the truth, we're speaking from the heart. So there's got to be a point where there's a realization of within the Black community, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, whether you're independent, you're Republican, or you're Democrat, that collectively there is an issue. There is an issue. Some of us are being used as pansies for them folks, but collectively there is an issue that is impacting every last one of us directly or indirectly, because a lot of us have kids. A lot of us have kids who are trying to go to school, graduate, go to college, and the idea that buying a house with a white picket fence around it may not be a reality anymore, because now they got to fight trying to get rent, getting rent for an apartment. So there is an issue all around impacting the entire Black community, one way or the other. We already seeing where medical schools can no longer have diversity training. Well, my body is a lot different than a white woman's body. And we have diseases that impact us more than them. But if you don't have doctors who are not knowledgeable on the differences in how we're made up, biologically, then we're not going to get the care that we need. And we are already seeing a lot of Black women dying during labor. Because
I'll give you the care you need.
Not giving us the care.
And just to go to Doc's point, Two things. One, if you think, if you think that if you can carry water for these folks and you're going to be immune, call Candace.
Yes, Candace is she's getting beat up.
She's getting beat up, right? She thought she was immune, and then they reminded her again, I don't care who you married to, you still who you are. But the other thing, to go to Doc's point about medical care, if I go to a doctor and they need to draw blood, as you see my skin, they stick me 3-4 times before, you know what I mean, before they can find a vein, you know what I mean. And so I'll have a sister come in there and be like, move, and she knows my skin, you know what I mean, and so she knows how to find my vein, you know. They can't find it because of the darkness of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, it's just little instances like that where having blacks in healthcare matter. You know what I mean? Being aware of some of the diseases that we carry.
Let me ask a question before we close. Is this an issue of a change that is starting to happen? And is the change that because people of color are becoming more, that there is a apprehension on white folks or people who are not of melanin skin think that something's going to happen, so they're lashing out? Are we going to see another shift that happens towards?
You remember the statement when two of us are gathered, there's a revolution.
Right.
Well, I think what's happening is that a lot of white people are in fear of black people doing better than they are. And so there is that lashing out there. Of course, the lash out became more pronounced when Obama was in office. President Obama was in office, and it's even more so. And then when you have a person like Trump, knowing that is an issue within their community, they're really, exaggerating that point even more so.
Right.
So I think that there's a fear. There's a fear among white people on how well we are doing. We still have some that aren't doing well, but for the most part, a lot of black folks are doing well. And then if that's the case, I guess they didn't earn it. So
Yeah. So and to speak on Doc's point, so I see it as this way. So I think for the literate white folks, there's been articles in Washington Post, there's been articles in New York Times and U.S. News that talk about the changing demographics in the world, and so that's all throughout the world. There's a declining population in the United States, China, especially in Europe, and so whereas the right now I think it's 1 in 3 people who are born in the world are born in Africa. So there's a changing demographic to where we're headed to a planet where 46% within the next couple of decades are going to be African people. And so for the literate white folks, they see these changing demographics. For the illiterate white folks, what they don't understand is that they look around and they see, black women are the most educated demographic. They are now the most entrepreneurial. They see black folks moving in different places and different spaces, even throughout higher education. What it boils down to is that they need someone to blame for globalization.
Their shortfalls.
And so, and so the planet is changing, the economies are changing. They're not doing as well as their parents' generation. And so they look around and they have to blame someone for that, for those shortfalls. And so we are the easiest ones to blame.
Because we can be seen quicker.
Right, exactly. So we are the easiest one to blame for a changing global economic situation. And so what you have, again, for the literate white folks, for the ones, the coal miners, for the folks who and no disrespect, but the folks who work with their hands, that's what you see, this changing economic situation. So of course that's why we get blamed for that as well.
Well, we've had some interesting topics today on Hot Topics. We had multiple hot topics, but we would like to see your comments, and we want to thank you again for being on our show. And if you don't mind, hit the like button and the subscribe button so that you can know when our next shows were coming up. And with that in mind, have a great weekend and happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter.
Yep.